Hello, welcome to the Counterattack playthrough series. We're continuing with our playthrough of Fighting Withdrawal, which is Scenario 1 from the first module of Advanced Squad Leader. This is turn 2. Before I start turn 2, I thought I'd just thank everybody that provided comments on YouTube and Board Game Geek, pointing out things I could have done better, but also errors I made. There's too many errors to even mention, but one theme of the first turn was that the Finns were pretty overwhelming against the Russians, and that was in part due to my misplay a few times. I basically missed a few times where the Finnish firepower should have been halved. I gave them extra firepower by misusing the assault fire rules. Basically, you only get to add the +1 and round up after all other effects of firepower, like halving and doubling, have taken effect. So essentially, like point blank fire will not double your assault fire capability, for example. So they just had a bunch of cases where there's extra firepower, so that helps destroy the Russians quite a bit. Then the Commissar, when he was unable to rally a unit, I think I reduced the unit. Well, really, you're only supposed to drop the unit quality by 1 level, and if the level gets down to the lowest level, then you start reducing. So there's a overly reduced Russian out there. I'm not going to try to fix it. I'm just going to let it play out. It's just too tough to go back. There's so many other scenarios to play, so I'll just chalk this up to a learning scenario, and please continue to give me advice and corrections. I'm trying to think if there's any other items that were worth mentioning. When a unit first fires on another unit and they cower, they immediately go to final fire. It was pointed out I didn't do that. A few other things, but let's just get going. So this is turn 2, Finnish player turn, rally phase. First thing we do is check for wind change, looking for a 2 or a 12. Got a 9, so no wind change. Now the Finns are going to try to rally. If I remember right, there's some broken guys down here. Let's see. Yeah, these guys. So they have to roll 8 or less, but they get +1 for being in the woods. They have a box morale, so they get to self-rally. They rolled a 4. So they do rally. And let's see, I think there's some guys in this large building here. Yeah, so one's an 8 morale, one's a 7. We'll do the 8 first, so 8 or less, +1 for being in a building. Got a 3. And then, so he rallies, then the 7. Got a 10, he does not rally, so flip this guy. And I'm pretty sure that's all the Finns that are broken. Yeah, oops. Let's fix that, and then we'll do the Russians. Now, the Russians have quite a few broken units, but they're not self-rally capable. These guys up here, there's a guy here. Now, he is stacked with a concealed leader. Looking at the concealment chart, if you're in concealment terrain and there is no line of sight to the enemy, which we've established for that location, that a leader can attempt to rally. So I can have this guy try to rally this guy. So he has to roll his morale of 7 or less. Gets +1 for being in a building. We've got a 6, +1 is 7, so that does rally him. And this guy does not lose his concealment. Okay, well, that's good for the Russians. That's the end of the rally phase. Okay, prep fire phase. Not so sure the Finns want to do any prep firing. Let's see here. I think it's time to just do all maneuver. Yeah, I don't think there'll be any prep firing. So now it's the movement phase. They will do some movement. One thing I want to do is these guys with prisoners back here. I think we'll just kind of scooch them back temporarily. So they're going to assault move back to here. We'll go ahead and put this guy on here. Okay, and then I think this guy is also going to assault move into here. Now, the reason I'm doing that is I'm thinking during the advance phase, they can advance into here and then get a decent attack on this guy. Okay, one thing I want to try to do is try to get these Russian squads in positions where they might surrender, or I can go in and capture them. So let's see how I can do that. Well, if I have like this guy try to dash across the road here, this newly rallied Russian squad can fire upon him. So maybe I want to try to do some other kinds of maneuvers. So back here we have these guys. They all double timed it last turn. So I'm going to just pull this marker off to the side. So then it can no longer double time, but they no longer have double time penalty. They can't double time 2 turns in a row. I guess I'll do that for this guy here as well. Just those are reminders for myself. These guys have not double timed. So maybe I want some of these guys to try to get down here to get around these Russians that pulled back. Also to get behind these guys a little more back here. So rather than moving them all together though, I think I'll do one at a time. Yeah. So these guys are just going to do normal movement. They're going to go 1. And from the point of view of these guys, they're not moving in the open because of this wall here. They have wall advantage. And from the point of view of these guys, there is a hindrance between them, a smoke hindrance, so they are also not in the open. I believe that is true. So I need to decide, do the Russians want to try to fire on them? They are not using assault movement. Let me remind myself what these Russian guys are here. We got 2 4/4s. Yeah, I think an attack from these guys would be 8, but it's long range, so half to 4, +2 for the smoke hindrance, -1 for moving in the open. Doesn't seem very good. These guys would be at +2 across that stone wall, -1. So similar, but at full strength. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to let them go. So 1, and then I think they're going to go 2. Now they're in normal range. So that would be a 8 + 1. 8 + 1. Well, I think there's an okay chance of hitting them, but they also have an okay chance of passing the morale check. I think they'll hold off. So he went 1 2. Then they're going to go 3 4. Okay. No one fired. Okay, next. I think the leader and the squad with the light machine gun are going 1. No one's firing. 2. I think these guys will fire now. So it's going to be 8 -1 because they're not using assault movement, +2 for this smoke hindrance. Let me just make sure there's nothing there. Yeah, there's nothing there. So +2 for the smoke hindrance. So it's a total of 8 + 1. Okay, we got a 5. That's good. 5 on the 8 column +1. It's 1 MC. So we do the leader first. Have to roll 8 or less, but they have a +1 on their die roll. Well, I got a 10 + 1 is 11. So yeah, this guy breaks. By the way, these guys that are firing, they were double timing, so they had to add 1 to their attack, but it was still a 1 MC. So this guy broke. Now this guy has to go. Whoa, Finns are unlucky, same roll. So they break as well. And then when a leader breaks, you have to see if units become pinned due to them seeing their leader break. But that is not warranted here, since everyone's broken. So that was 8 firepower, so 4 residual firepower goes there. And these guys have first fired. So the Russians really lucked out there. Okay, so these guys are all broken. I don't need this mnemonic device anymore. But I do think these guys are going to double time. They didn't double time last time. So they have a potential of 6 movement points available right now. They're going to go 1, 2. Is anyone going to fire on them? No. 3. No. 4, 5. 6, 7. 8. 6, 7. Wait, hold on. I just told you they can move 6. So they'll just go here to 5. Okay. And then what else we got here? These guys back here. I'm moving them now so I know they cannot double time. So they're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. No one's firing at them for those moves. I thought those guys would be able to go much faster. The Finns might be in trouble here. They need to get off the end of the board, and it's a long way to go. Someone posted in the comments section on YouTube that I should have positioned my Finns like all as close as possible to the Russians so that they have fewer hexes to run. Okay, so got that north flank done, so maybe we'll check out this south flank. Actually, before I do that, I just realized I screwed something up. If I was playing an opponent, I would just say whatever and live with it, but I'm playing against myself, so I can do this. I had somehow mixed up in my head that advancing fire comes after the advanced phase. That is not true. So I was thinking these guys would be able to advance in here and then shoot at these guys. That is not true. So I had these guys assault move over to here with the idea they would come up here and fire. Well, that can't happen. So let me put them back. These guys with the prisoners, I would have still wanted to do that. So reason I care is I think I want these guys to do something. And that something is going to be an assault move, a move using assault movement. 1, 2. And that gets them in position to be able to do advancing fire. So the Russians have to decide, do they want to shoot back? Shoot at them as they're coming in, knowing full well these guys are coming as well. And you know, I think the answer is yes. I mean, when else are they going to do it? So that's going to be 4 multiplied by 2 for point blank fire. So it's an 8, but into a +3 stone building. That's rough. -1. Well, no, they're not using assault movement, so there's no -1 for that. I mean, excuse me, they are using assault movement, so there's no -1 for not using assault movement. And they're not in the open, so it's a pure +3, so 8 + 3. And they rolled boxcars, so that did nothing. It also, they cower, so which takes them down to a final fire, something rather than first fire, something I missed in my last video. And their residual firepower would be 8. Normally, or half of 8, which would be 4, but since they cowered, it drops again down to 2. So there's only 2 residual firepower here. Okay, and so these Finns here, interesting. Now that these guys have been occupied, maybe instead of advancing in here, which I was thinking I might do, maybe they will double time. Yeah. So they're gonna double time, go 1, 2. Even though this guy can see him, he can't fire on them. They can only fire at adjacent. 3, 4 to hop over the wall. 5, 6 to move into this X. And no one else is shooting at him. Okay. And sorry if you couldn't see the whole thing. They ran over here, hopped into this woods with their buddies that also double timed into those woods. Not so sure if that's a good flank to be trying to run around. There's a lot of terrain here. We need to come down this road. Oh well. So next, let's go back to this flank here. Well, first thing I want to do is maybe try to peel some of the concealment off of these guys, maybe to get them to go first fire. So we have this half squad here. Oh. Okay, we have this half squad here. Oh, this stack is just wants to drive me crazy. Okay, it's on the first floor, ground floor. I think it's gonna just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Try to draw some fire. What do I want to do here? Do these guys want to draw fire? Or to fire on them? Well, you can see here they're 2 concealed, 4 firepower squads. I think they can hold fire, waiting for some bigger dogs to come here. Similarly, this is a 1. Yeah, I think they'll hold fire. This guy's just gonna hang here. Okay, so these guys just successfully moved up there, but didn't really help. Next, I don't know, we got this hero here. He's a morale of 9. That could be interesting. Well, let's go with his buddy first. We're on the first floor. There's a stairwell here, a stairwell here. Is there a stairwell here? No. So they would have to come over here if they want to go downstairs, or they can just go downstairs right now. Able to do that. They're going to go downstairs. 1, no one's firing on them. 2, 3. You know, instead of that, they're going to stay upstairs. They're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now these guys could fire on them. I believe so. Yeah, it's just 1 level up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure these guys can see each other. I don't see any line of sight rules saying someone on a first level can't see into the ground floor and back of adjacent locations. So do these guys want to fire? There's quite a few more Finns on the way, but I think these guys should fire. It's going to be point blank, so 8 plus 2 for the wooden building, -1 for not using assault movement, so it'll be at net +1. Got a 7. Let's see, 7 on the 8, +1, that's a normal morale check. So the Finns have to roll 8 or less. They rolled a 7. That is the Russian sniper activation number, but we'll just hold on for a second. So they succeed in their morale check. These guys are first fired. They fired at 8, so the residual firepower is 4. Okay, and now we're going to process that sniper. We're going to see if the Russians roll a 1 or a 2. Rolled a 5, so the sniper does not activate. Next, we'll hold on to that hero for a second. These guys are going to run across. 1, 2, 3. These guys could fire. That would be 4 halved for already fired once, doubled for point blank. So it'd be a 4 plus 2 minus 1 for not using assault movement. So 4 plus 1. Just checking out what a 4 firepower might look like. It's unlikely to get a hit. Basically I'm using the rule of 7. So I look at if I'm most likely roll as a 7, that would a 7 on the 4 column would be a pin task check, but it's a +1, so it even goes up higher, which would be nothing. So I think I'm more likely than not to miss. So we'll just leave these guys here. Now, one reason I might want to ignore that, you know, the probabilities is that these guys are just going to come in and close combat me anyway. but we'll just hold off. Okay. So next, I think these guys are gonna move up. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think these guys are gonna reveal themselves and try to get. Yeah, they're gonna try to get a big attack on. So they're gonna both fire. So that's gonna be 8. Doubled for point blank, so 16 plus 2 minus 1. So 16 plus 1. Rolled a 9. Doesn't sound so hot. But on the 16 column plus 1, that's a normal morale check. Could be worse. Okay, so that guy has to roll an 8 or less. He rolled a 6. Let's see, 16. The next half of that is 8. So we're trying to figure out residual firepower. Here we go. Here's an 8. They first fired. Okay, so far Russians not doing so hot on the defense here. Next, I think these guys are gonna also run across. 1, 2, 3. Oh man. So these guys first fired, they can only fire at someone adjacent. These guys first fired, they can fire someone adjacent because the closest guys are adjacent. These guys can fire, I guess they're gonna final fire on him. Okay, so he used 2 movement points to get in there, so I could potentially attack twice. So we'll do the first attack. That's 4 cut in half for having first fired, doubled for point blank. So it's a 4 plus 2 minus 1. So it's a 4 plus 1. Desperate attack. Rolled doubles. So that means the firepower is effectively a 2. And I had rolled an 8. Yeah, total miss. Okay, so they've final fired. However, 2 movement points were expended to get into this location. That means they could potentially fire twice. So I could do final protective fire, which is the last kind of firing. You get to, your first fire is at full strength. Subsequent first fire is at half strength, but only at targets that are as close to you as any other targets, like your closest targets, basically. And then final protective fire is after you've done that, anyone that's moved adjacent to you. So I'll do that. I risk breaking, but it might be good for these guys to break. So this is a 4 plus 1 again. My roll is going to count as a morale check. Not so hot, so that is a miss. Well, let's see. Yeah, that's a miss. And my morale is 7, so they break. Yeah, they're just terrified at this big assault coming up. So they break. But my thinking is, perhaps naively, that if they break, I can at least try to rat them the heck out of there before the advance. Okay, next, let's see, we still have a few more guys over here that can move these guys, this hero. But I think I'm gonna bring some of these support units up a bit. So we have a squad here with a medium machine gun. They're just gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4 into here. I'm gonna put them below this since these guys haven't moved, and I'll kind of, just so I don't lose track of who's not moved. Just gonna kind of off kilter a few of these guys to remind myself. Also these guys, maybe they should double time it. So that gives them 6 movement points instead of the normal 4. And I think they're just going to run right up this road. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if they go to 6 here, because the line of sight's blocked from here, but not from here. So they'll just go here to 5. And then they can advance here or to here. Okay, and then back here, what else do I have? We have this leader here. Is he in line of sight of any enemy units? I would say the answer is no. So he's gonna do a normal move and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He'll just chill there. He retains his concealment. And then what was this here? That's another leader. He's going to try to do the same thing. He's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not so sure what the Finnish leaders are here for. Really? Oh, you know, they're here to make everyone move fast, I think. And I haven't been doing that. So let's see. He went 1, 2, 3, 4. He's in concealment terrain. But these are broken units. Can they cause him to lose his concealment? Let me see. Well, I'm looking at the chart and it makes reference to good order or unbroken enemy ground unit. These guys are broken, so okay. He doesn't lose his concealment, so that was a 1, 2, 3, 4. And I suppose we'll just leave him here for now. So I'm trying to decide, do I want this hero to do something crazy? He has a high morale. Like run out here, trying to draw this guy's fire. Now if he joins a fire group, he can give the fire group a -1 to the attack, not to mention using his 1 firepower. So I could try to get him into a nice little fire group, like, you know, this fire group here potential. So maybe I'll do that. Yeah, that might be worth doing. So he's upstairs though, so he would have to get over to the stairwell in order to do a fire group, so he can talk down the stairwell to this guy over to here. Something like that. Since he's a single main counter, he has 6 movement factors, like a leader. So I think he's gonna go, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's what he'll do. So he's gonna move in this upper story. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, as he went through here, this guy declined the honor of firing on him. Okay, so he's over there. Now he could theoretically form a fire group. Okay, now this guy. You know, I just gotta rely on these Finns' morale. I think he's gonna try to dash to these woods here. So he's dashing 1. These guys are gonna fire. They fire at half firepower because it's a dash. Yeah, but it's moving in the open, not using assault movement. So it'll be 2 minus 2. I don't know if that's good. Yeah, it looks okay. 2 minus 2. Normally that'd be awesome, but it's a cower situation. So it's actually a 1 minus 2. Roll a 4 on the 1 column. Minus 2. That's a 1 MC. All right, I like it. Go ahead and do that. We're looking for an 8 or less. Rolled an 8. An 8 minus 1 is 7, so these guys break. Okay. Well, that was calculated risk. And that was 1 firepower leaves 0 residual firepower. Okay. These guys first fired. Okay, what else do we have going on here? I think we're gonna move back up to here, and it's just these 2 guys haven't moved. Well, I think this guy's gonna go first. He's just gonna go 1, 2, 3. And you know, no one is in a situation where they can harm him. These guys over here, there's a stone wall intervening that is neither in the target or the source hex. So they're just going to go here. So yeah, let's say 1, 2, 3. Maybe they'll even go 4. This guy can't fire on them because there's someone closer. Okay, and then this guy, I suppose he's just going to go 1 using assault movement. And yeah, basically we're trying to get these broken guys. Okay. I think that is the end of the movement phase. Yeah. So let's get rid of all the residual firepower, and yeah, we'll do the defensive fire phase. Yeah. So the Russians that have first fired that aren't adjacent to anyone, they can't fire anymore. Those that have final fired, these guys here, can't fire anymore. So that leaves us with, in terms of units that are within line of sight, this stack here. They have first fired and there are people adjacent to them. Well, they might as well do something. So here we have 2 units here and 1 unit here. So let's fire at them. Let's fire both at them. That'll be a 8 cut in half to 4, doubled for point blank, back to 8, into a building plus 2, a wood building. So 8 plus 2. Roll a 6. 6 on the 8 column plus 2 is a normal morale check. So we'll do the top guy first. It's an 8. Roll a 4. He's good. Then we'll do the next guy down. He's an 8 as well. Roll a 9. So they break. Okay, that's good. For the Russians, I mean. These guys convert to final fire. And I think that's it. Yeah. So that is the end of the defensive fire phase. All purple markers have been removed. So advancing fire phase. So the Finns are in some pretty good positions here. This stack is broken here. Well, there's a leader in there, but pretty much all broken. So I think these guys are going to form a fire group. Bam, 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 bam. So right up that stairwell. So what we're looking at is, and they're going at this target. So advancing fires, you half your firepower. I'm going to try not to make the mistake I made last video. So 6 cut in half is 3. Doubled for point blank, so that's 6. Likewise, 6. I'm just doing these guys individually for a moment. That guy's 3 because he's not doubled back to 6 because he's not point blank. That guy's also 3. This guy's 0.5. Okay, so we got 6, 6, 3, 3, 0.5. Now we have to look at the assault fire capability. So this 6, since it's assault fire capable, gets a +1. So he's a 7. He's a 7. These 3s each get a +1, so that's a 4 and a 4. Okay, so 7 and 7 is 14, 4 is 18, 4 is 22. Then this guy is just 0.5. So 22.5. Why am I even bothering with this guy? Because he's 0.5. Well, a hero in a fire group gets to add a -1 die roll modifier. So yeah, this is going to be a devastating attack. 22 -1, but the building's +2, so 22 + 1. They rolled a 7. That is the Russian sniper activation number, but we'll go ahead and finish this up. It's a 3 MC, but it's +1 on net +1, so it's a 2 MC to the Russians. So let me put this here as a reminder, and then the top Russian has to roll 7 or less, add 2 to the dice. Okay, you got a 7, +2 is 9, he breaks. his buddy. Oh, ouch. Yeah, so boxcars, you suffer casualty reduction. So he would be reduced to a half squad, but then he suffered a morale check failure that exceeds his morale, but greater than the experience level rating of the Soviet forces, which is only 3. So 7 plus 3 is 10. I rolled a 12 plus 2. So not only is he casualty reduced, but he goes down 1 level in quality to a 226 conscript, which is broken. Okay, so just finished processing that. I think I could remember this, but just for fun, I will go ahead and mark these guys all prep fired. Since advancing fire phase is an orange colored thing, that'll help me remember. Okay, but now we have to process the sniper activation, so we're going to see if the Russians roll a 1 or a 2. Rolled a 3. Finns luck out again. Okay, that was brutal. Entire flank falling here. Okay, let's go check out these guys. I think these guys, they're going to do advancing fire. 6 cut in half for advancing fire to 3. Doubled for point blank is 6. Then add 1 for the assault fire bonus. That's a 7. 7 plus 3 into a stone building. They rolled a 6 on the 7 column plus 3. That is a pin task check. The Russians rolled an 8 and they needed a 7, so they are pinned. These guys advancing fired. These guys, they are they're going to fire on these broken guys. That's a 1 because it's half, but then doubled for point blank, so it's back to a 2. This guy's halved and doubled, back to a 6. He also assault fire capable, so he goes to a 7. So that's a 7 and a 2 is a 9, and 9 plus 3. Rolled a 6. That's a pin task check. Well, they're already broken, but they do get desperate. Yeah. Okay. I was hoping to just casualty reduce them or something. Okay, these guys here. Now, these guys, they're going to be a 3 plus 1 for assault fire. They're going to fire at these guys, I guess. So that'll be 4. Now, this heavy machine gun, or medium machine gun that carried, let me see if they can use that in assault fire. I'm guessing no, but we'll check. Well, I'm not seeing a reason why this medium machine gun can't fire. I'm kind of skimming through the rules in the machine gun rules, the advancing fire phase rules. So this guy's going to fire over here at a 4. This would be halved to 2.5, so we're attacking at 6.5. Yeah, and you know, machine gun has a covered arc when in a building, so we'll go ahead and pick this as the covered arc. Okay, so 6.5, which is 6 into a plus 3. We rolled a 6. 6 plus 3, that's a miss. Machine gun does have rate of fire, but I'm good. I feel like I'm missing some rule here where I've read like big machine guns you can't use in the advancing fire phase. Please let me know if I'm missing something. But we'll just say I did that legit for now. While that attack theoretically could have done harm to the target, you know, if I had rolled a lower number, it still would have potentially done harm. I can put a desperation morale on that guy. Okay, a few more guys remaining. I don't think any of the guys that have not fired yet can see anyone else though. So Well, there might be one exception. These guys up here. Can these guys see them? I don't think so. I think it's going to clip the building. Not even going to bother. Okay, so that is the advancing fire phase. I'm going to go ahead and remove all the prep fire markers here. Okay, route phase. We do the attacking players' units first, which is the Finns. So these guys, they're in the open, they're desperate. Enemy units can see them, they need to route. Pick the closest woods or buildings. There's 3 equidistant, but 2 of them are closer to enemy units. Let's see, these are not good order enemy units though. Could they move here? That might be a better place for me to move. So I'll need to check that rule, but if I can't move towards even broken units, then I'll have to go to these woods. But let me see about broken units. Yeah, you can't route towards known armed enemy units, even if broken. So these guys are broken, but still armed. So this guy has to route to here, and there's nowhere else to route to. Okay, there's some more Finns that can route. So these guys, I suppose they just want to get out of line of sight of these guys. In fact, they don't even have to route, I don't believe, because they're in concealment terrain or, building anyway. I think they're just going to, route to here. These guys are already broken. They're not desperate, so they can't route. Is that all the Finns that are broken? I guess so. I just realized these guys could have advanced fired on them, but oh well. There are some Finns up here. So these guys have to pick the closest woods or building. There's woods here, there's a building here, they're equidistant. So I think we'll pick this building. Is that closer to a known enemy unit? So they're currently at 1, 2, 3, 4. That building's 1, 2, 3, 4, so it's the same. So yeah, this mess here is gonna route to here. And interestingly, they could route back to here. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not closer to an enemy unit. So it's sort of routing forward. But they're running to these woods to hide. Okay, I think that's all the Finn routes. Okay, now for the Russians routing. This guy clearly needs to route. His line of sight, you can see these guys over here, but out this way, because of the way these buildings are set up and where the enemy is, he can't actually see any enemy units down here. There's one here. You also can't see these units up here. When you follow the hex spine, this building gets cut off here, so he can't see anything over there. So as far as he's concerned, he can run out in any direction here, be fine. But he has to pick a woods or building, the closest possible. And it looks like these woods here are the closest possible, other than this burning building. So can't go to the burning building. So this is the target. So he could just run out here, use 1 movement factor, and then suddenly find himself in line of sight of an enemy unit. He'll be interdicted, and then his target will be, he'll realize his target's closer to an enemy unit, and he'll have to pick a new target, which I guess would probably be here. But so since I know that, I'm prescient here. I think he's going to low crawl into the street. He's a little nervous. He's just going to use 1 move, low crawl. That allows him to avoid interdiction, but you can only go 1 movement point. And he's at high risk. Like, maybe, I just don't know, how scary is interdiction? Like, if he just ran, these guys could shoot at him, but then he can hop over the wall and potentially be safe. We'll go with the low crawl. Okay, now these guys, they are better off, looks like, because of these walls here, it's not touching the target or the source of a line of sight check. These guys can't see each other, except, oops, I should probably show you the guys I'm talking about. These guys can't see him. Except this guy, he can see along this hex spine. Nope. I'm thinking he has a line of sight blocked across here, down to here. So, but again, once it gets out to a certain point, he might be in trouble. I think interdiction only works at normal range. So I'll have to double check that. But so this guy's range is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh. Yeah. And actually, as soon as this guy goes here, these guys can see him. Well, we're just going to take a risk here, and he's going to go 1. Now, let me just see if this guy has line of sight. I have to be a little more precise. Building blocks line of sight. Okay, so this guy's good so far. He's moved 1. I should have picked a target hex though, shouldn't I? So he can see this hex. That was 1, 2, 3, 4. You can also see this hex. And he can't see these enemy units. So he would have picked 1, 2, 3. I guess any of these 3 hexes. So I think I'd pick this hex in the smoke. So he had to go here actually. Oy. So in that case, I'm going to low crawl because now they'll immediately be able to see him. Although across a wall, he might technically not be interdictable. Okay, yeah, so being across a wall, he's not in the open, he can't be interdicted. Sorry, this is probably really tedious for people that already know these rules, maybe for everybody, but you know, it's kind of complicated, and I'm trying to make sure I learn all the fine points. So he went here, no one can interdict him because he's not in the open from anyone's point of view. So you can go 1. Now he can see these guys. He's like, so he targeted here. He sees these guys. He can't go to a location closer to an enemy unit. If he goes here, he's still not closer. Goes here, he's still not closer. So I think his target remains the same. But he doesn't have to make a beeline for it. So he can go 1, 2, 3, 4 for the smoke, 5. And he's still in a hindrance. Let me make sure that's true. And then he has 1 more point, but his target is here. So he can't get in there right now. Okay, so when you're in a hindrance, it has no benefit. It's only when it's in between the firer and the target. However, let's see. This guy cannot see him. This guy can see him, but it's at long range, so he cannot be interdicted. So he safely got out of there. Quite a few more Russians to rout here. These guys, they need to get out of dodge. Unfortunately, they're in a situation here. This guy cannot rout without resorting to low crawl. This guy will see him, or he'll be interdicted. And when you are adjacent to an enemy unit and have to enter that situation of interdiction or rout, you surrender. So these guys have surrendered. It doesn't have to be to this guy, so we'll just remember these guys surrendered. So I was going to have this leader voluntarily route, which you can do along with them, but that would mean the leader would surrender too, I suppose. So yeah, let me process this prisoner situation. So I think we'll have these guys that are adjacent process the prisoners. So these guys have converted to a multi-man prisoner, and these guys will immediately deploy, which you're allowed to do when taking prisoners, into 2 half squads. 1 half squad will take these prisoners. The other will not. They're still exhausted. Okay, that was bad. Again, please correct me if I did that wrong, but I think I got it. Okay, now these guys. Yeah, they're adjacent to someone. They can't escape without resorting to low crawl or being interdicted. I just need to double check this because this is a massive surrender if this is really what's happening. Let me go double check the surrender rule one more time. See if those guys are also going to surrender. Yeah, I think I'm doing it right. So these guys also surrender. Wow. You know, I haven't played this game to realize like how desperate those guys were. Getting up adjacent to units that have to route and having them in a situation where they'll be interdicted or resort to low crawl is huge. I mean, the entire Russian force just melted away just now. So these guys are surrendering. They're two. Let's see. It's a full squad. This is a half squad. So we'll get a full squad prisoner, half squad prisoner, and then. But by the way, a guard can guard up to 5 times its size in prisoners, basically. Need one of these guys to become a guard, and I guess I'll deploy again just so I can not have too many units responsible for prisoners. So maybe we'll have this guy deploy. Half squad will take all the prisoners. The other guy will not. Ooh, that is just death. So clearly I bungled this as the Russians. I mean, man. Yeah, okay. So I believe that is the end of the route phase. Now for the advance phase. Okay. Well, how about this guy will advance here. I think the hero will advance down 1 level to get back to ground level. These guys are going to advance into here. That'll start a close combat situation. We know how that's going to go. Another advance up here. This will start a close combat situation. Less certain, but still almost assured. These guys will move back up. I think these guys will go like this. These guys just advance out into the open here. These guys will advance down here. We'll just keep the prisoners there for a second. All those guys are broken. All those guys are broken. Are these guys really all broken? No, there's a leader here. He'll advance. Leaders don't really help with, for the Finns anyway, with rallies. Well, these guys, this guy will advance. And let's see. All these guys back here, I suppose this guy will advance. These guys will advance. Now the Finns can almost run around with impunity now. Yeah. It's the advance phase. Okay, one thing I forgot at the end of the advancing fire phase is to check for flame spread. That is important when that check happens because it might affect routing, for example. But I will just ignore that and do it now. So first, there's no more places that can spread because all we have is a few flames next to burnable terrain. So we're going to just check to see if these flames spread. We'll start with the ground floor first, or if they burst into blazes, I should say. So the ground floor, that is a wooden building, so I need to roll greater than or equal to 8. Got a 9, so that does burst into a blaze. And then we'll do the upper story. It's a 5, so it's still a flame. Okay, so that's it. So next turn, that blaze might cause a flame to spread into this building over here. Now for this other building on fire, let's first check the flame. So this flame, it's a stone building, so I have to roll greater than or equal to 9 for it to burst into a blaze. Rolled a 9. Okay, so that is a blaze. And then there's one under here in a wood building, so greater than or equal to 8. Okay, I got a 5, so it's still a flame. Now this blaze, of course, produces gray dispersed smoke in the direction of the wind. So we'll do that. I don't have a lot of gray, so I'm not sure why it matters a whole lot, but there's some white for now. Okay, and then let's see. This is a 2-story building, so we're going to see if it can spread from the upper story of this side of the building to this side. We wouldn't go from this blaze up because it was a flame at the start. So we're gonna do see how it spreads. So that is I need to roll greater than or equal to 9, but I can do a +1 on the die roll modifier for the wind direction, as you can see there. So I got an 11 plus 1, 12, so that does spread a flame to the upper level. Okay, so fortunately that did not affect any routing, any other items. So, okay, cool. Okay, now for the close combat phase. We'll go ahead and do this close combat first. Let's check out what's going on. This is pretty scary for the Russians. We got 2 full Finnish first line squads against a concealed leader. So first we check for ambush since the close combat is taking place in a building. So I'm going to go ahead and roll a white die for the Finns, red die for the Soviets. And we're going to compare the difference. Whoever has 3 less than the other has ambushed the other side. The Finns are stealthy, so they get a -1 to their roll. The Russian is concealed, so he gets a -2. Well, we rolled identical numbers, so the Finns get -1, that's a 4. Russians get -2, that's a 3. 4 minus 3, the difference is not 3 or greater, so there is no ambush. Now, both sides decide who they're going to allocate their attacks to. So the Finns are combining into a giant close combat attack against the Russian. The Russian is going to decline to attack. And the reason is, I think he's going to die no matter what. He can stay concealed, and that halves, I believe, halves the close combat value of the Finns. So the Finns' close combat value is 12. Well, there's an odds ratio, so 12 to 1, so it drops to 6 to 1. Sorry, what I mean is their firepower is halved due to the concealed unit. So 6 plus 6 is 12, divided by 2 is 6 against a 1. So his single man counter leader counts as 1. So we're going to go ahead and roll on the 6 to 1 column. We need to roll 10 or less. Oh wow, lucked out for the Russians. Rolled a 12, so that is a miss. And besides being a miss, anytime you are attacked with a 12 and you're still alive, you may immediately withdraw if you decide. And we can even retain our concealment when we withdraw. So this guy somehow survived. You know, he probably won't survive much longer, but he somehow survived. So he is withdrawing into the street here, concealed. So he's sort of sneaking out a back window. And that's that. Now for the other close combat situation. Up here, let's see what we have in here. We have 1 full Finnish squad and a pinned Russian squad. Okay, again, we're gonna roll for ambush. Finns get -1 for being stealthy. The Russians get +1 for being pinned. So the Finns rolled a 2 minus 1, that's a 1. Russians 4 plus 1 is a 5. 5 minus 1 is 4. So the Finns' die roll is 4 less than the Russians, meaning they ambushed the Russians. Okay, so since there's an ambush, the attacker goes first. So the attacker is going to attack that guy, the defender is going to attack that guy. So it's going to be 6 to 4, but he's pinned. And pretty sure my understanding, just looking at the close combat table, it says close combat firepower by a guarding / motion / pinned unit. So in this case, the pinned unit is half. So that'll be 2. So 6 to 2, that's 3 to 1 on the close combat table. I'm going to roll 2 dice. I have to roll, let's see, on the 3 to 1 column, I have to roll an 8 or less. Okay, we rolled a 9. Unfortunately, that is a miss. Now the Russians fire back, so they're at 2 firepower against 6. So that's 1 to 3. So they're looking to roll. Let's see, there's no 1 to 3 columns. So I have to round it down to the next lower. That's a 1 to 4. So I have to roll 3 or less. They rolled a 9. So the close combat is unresolved, and well, I guess he's still technically pinned until the end of the close combat phase. So now they are entering a melee. So from that point on, they're just fighting it out in the rooms of this row house here. Okay, so that is the end of the close combat phase. So we go ahead and remove red markers, or red on white, so the pinned markers. I think that was the only pinned guy. And it's also the end of the turn. Since it's the end of the turn, the player turn, the active player, the Finns, can look into concealing any units that are concealable. So first off, any that are in line of sight of good order units, like, just can't do it. But I have quite a few that are not in line of sight, I believe, of good order units. Now, good order, I believe when you're in a melee, you are not in good order. So looks like these guys can see here, but no one else can see this guy as far as I can tell. These guys are broken, so they're not in good order. These guys are blocked by the wall. So I believe these guys can go concealed. I'm just going to do one double check to make sure melee counts as not being in good order. Yeah, melee is not good order. So looks like no one can see this guy. So he has gone concealed. Even though there's someone right next to them, they're not good order. They are broken. This guy can be seen. These guys are out in the open. They can be seen. By the way, they're in concealment terrain, so they have to be in concealment terrain here. So this hero, he is out of line of sight of all good order units. These guys are already concealed. These guys are in line of sight, Now these guys here, I think they're out of line of sight of this guy. Well, I think it's gonna, yeah, it'll clip that building. But they have prisoners. I was reading the rules and trying to find, like, can you be concealed when you're guarding prisoners? It kind of seems to me, thematically, it'd be pretty tough to be concealed, but I suppose you're, like, telling all the prisoners to lay on the ground or something. So I think they are concealed. Please let me know if I did that incorrectly. Likewise, these prisoners back, guards with the prisoners back there. And then I checked off camera. No one can see these guys here, so they are concealed. Everyone else can be seen. So by eliminating lots of Russians, it's a little easier to get concealed. Okay, that's the end of the Finnish player turn. Now for the Russian player turn, we are starting the rally phase. We're going to check for wind change, looking for a 2 or 12. Got a 3. I've played maybe 5 scenarios of ASL, and I have yet to see the wind change. It's 1 in 36 or maybe 2 in 36 chance. Okay, so Russian rally phase. Okay, we're looking for Russian leaders with broken units. I believe the only Russian leader is this guy. It's a commissar with, oh yeah, that battle hardened guy. We also have this leader here, but he's not broken and doesn't have any units with him. So the only Russians that are broken actually are these guys. So we're going to go ahead and try to self-rally them. Because when you're the active player, you can try to self-rally 1 unit. Okay, and so that he has to roll 4 or less, and he adds 4 to the die roll. I'm just going to do it anyway, because maybe he'll roll a 2 or 12. Excuse me. Rolled a 6 plus 4 is 10. Nope. Okay, so this comes off. These guys, yeah, they would have been easier to rally, but yeah, I don't know. There's no good options for whoever the only self-rally is. Now, a unit can choose to keep its desperation morale status if it is not in a building woods, a few other heavy terrain options. So I think I'm going to have him keep his desperation morale, because you cannot rout if you're not desperate. He would immediately go desperate during the rout phase by being adjacent to an enemy unit, but I'll just leave the desperation morale on him. So now the Finns. We'll go back to these guys first. Let's see what's in here. Oh yeah, these guys first. Lots of broken guys. We'll start with the leader self-rally. It's 8 plus 4, minus 1 for being in the woods. Got a 7, which goes down to 6, plus 4 is a 10, so he does not rally. Now, the guy below him, self-rallying. Rolled a 6, plus 4 is 10, minus 1 is 9, so they're both broken. I'm just going to remove the DM right now, though. It'll be easier for them to rally next turn. Okay, what else we have? Someone way down here, if I recall. Yeah, this guy. So 8 plus 4 minus 1. Got a 10. Doesn't do it. We'll remove the DM. I think someone was in here. Yeah. So it's going to be 7 plus 4 minus 1. We got a 6 plus 4 is 10. Nope. So yeah, tough to rally when you're desperate. Okay, but this guy, he was not desperate, so he's 7 minus 1. Rolled a 7 minus 1. He's rallied. Anyone else? I don't think so. What was in here? So just prisoners. Yeah, so that is the end of the rally phase. Nothing else I was going to do during that. You know, sometimes you can like scrounge weapons or exchange weapons, things like that. But yeah, that's it. End of the Russian rally phase. Prep fire phase. Russians are not going to prep fire. Yeah, there's nothing to prep fire on. Okay, so now movement phase. Now these guys back here, were exhausted, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that counter. They're not able to what's it called? Double time, but they're going to move. So let me describe what I think I need to do here. So I was initially thinking, oh, maybe I'll set up like a defensive line here, a secondary defensive line, or use this row house, but those row houses are deadly, especially like this point here, which it's hard to get back into these. These ones are okay because you can evacuate them pretty easily. So what I don't, but like if I keep this guy here, the Finns can come up against the wall. They'll be in +2 defensive terrain because of the wall. They'll take the wall advantage. And, you know, that's not that great compared to this guy. He's in a +3 building, but there'd be lots of Finns. So having him like out forward like this next to the wall, I don't think is that great. But if we can pull him back maybe to this building, what that allows is if the Finns stop at the wall, well, it's out of their normal range. So I think that's what I want to do. I want to try to keep him concealed as well. This guy back here, I think I want to fall back. These guys I don't know. Maybe they'll get this row house here because there's a big group of Finns back here. So they'll probably come into these buildings and then they're gonna have to do something with this street, try to cross the street. So if I can get some Russians down here to be able to fire at them through the clear terrain, I don't know. It's gonna be tough here. So maybe we'll start with these guys first. They just finished double timing, so they are in line of sight of this guy. It's going to be long range through smoke. Not that great of a shot for the Finns, although there's no reason why they wouldn't want to take that shot. But yeah, I think they're going to use normal movement. Well, actually, this guy, he's going to use assault movement. So he'll just go there, and then in the advance phase, he'll advance into this corner here. So, do those Finns want to attack? They would be attacking at 3 plus 2. 3 plus 2. Maybe they'll wait to see what this guy's going to do. He's going to start. He's going to go, he's using normal movement. 1. Okay, so they're going to do a 3 plus 2 attack. 3 plus 2 minus 1 for not using assault movement. So 3 plus 1. Rolled a 10. That is a total miss. But I feel like they weren't missing out on anything by holding fire. Or they would have been, they couldn't have done anything else. So he went 1, then I think he's going to go 2, 3. Let's see, he went 1, 2, 3, so maybe he'll just go 4. And then he has the option of advancing here or into the wood buildings, but probably go here. Okay. These guys with the commissar. Now, I want to make sure they stay concealed. Now, this guy here can see down this road, but he's broken. So, I think they're safe from being spotted. So they're just going to go 1, 2, 3. And then my thinking is they'll advance into this building here so that they can see down this road. Yeah, they can see down this road, and then we'll get this guy over here back to look down this road. Sure wish I had machine guns. Okay, so this guy, he is not concealed. He's gonna go. I'm trying to decide if I go here for 2 movement points. He'll have good terrain, plus 2, but lots of guys can see him, or more guys. I think this guy can see him. If he goes here, this guy can see him. That's a good 12 firepower shot. Or I can just dash. But I want to get him out of there quicker. Oh, I could also bypass and do a, maybe he's going to do a bypass move. So he's going to go into this vertex here, 1. Around like this. 2. Yeah, so he's going to bypass this building around the back. So I think that kind of counts as a potential for a snapshot, I believe. So if a snapshot would be if I'm run from this building to this building, as he's crossing this vertex, these guys can take a low firepower, like half firepower shot at him as he's crossing between the 2 buildings. So if I'm doing bypass, I feel like I can. He starts in this vertex here. He's going to run along this line and this line. I feel like there might be a snapshot potential there. So let's just say I spent 2 movement points so far to get here, but I'm going to go look up snapshots and bypass and see if there's a possibility there. Okay, let me roll that back a little. So it turns out for snapshot, you have to be able to see both vertexes of the hex spine. So he was not crossing the hex point. No, he's going through this vertex back here. Turns out when you're using bypass, the fire can use the vertices, as if they're the center dot of a hex to shoot at. So if he was going to bypass like this, that would be a -1 for being in the open, -1 for non-assault movement. So this guy's actually in a tough spot here because this is a small building surrounded by open area. So I guess I feel like I'm going to lose him if I just assault move back though. But that's a big firepower attack coming my way. And I know I'm agonizing over one little Russian squad, but I don't have that many. So I think what he's going to do, he's going to assault move. So there'll be no die roll modifiers. And if they want to shoot at him, they can snapshot at half firepower or full firepower into this wood building. I think we'll just risk that. Okay. So what are the Finns going to do? Well, I think they're going to try to keep these guys back here concealed, but got some guys here. That's 8. I'm pretty sure. Let's see, do I want to risk forming a fire group? I don't even know if this guy can actually see. I think the wall might be in the way. So we'll do an 8 firepower attack +2 first. Rolled a 6. 6 on the 8 +2. That's a normal morale check. The Finns rolled a 6. That's the Russian sniper activation number. Nope, Russian. It's a 7. So never mind. Okay, so they got a 6. Normal morale check to that Russian. He rolled a 6, so he's good. All right. Now for this stack back here, the reason I'm doing 2 stacks is because I didn't want the attack to fail when half the fire group didn't have line of sight or something, you know. So let's see, that's a 12 firepower attack. Let me just see what's going on here. Oh, I'm not very good at spotting line of sight, so it's very clear they have line of sight. So that's a 12 +2. There are rules for a mandatory fire group. I don't think it matters if the units are in different hexes. We'll do this attack and then I'll look it up just to make sure. I know you can't have 2 units in the same hex take turns firing at the same target, but I believe you're not required to make a multi-hex fire group. Okay, that's true. I don't even need to look it up. Okay, so 12 firepower. Rolled an 8, and we get +2 for the building. That's a pin task check. Okay, so Russians have to roll 7 or less to avoid being pinned. They rolled a 7. They are not pinned. Actually, both of these guys could have done a second shot because he spent 2 movement points to get in there. I think we're going to do that. So this was that'd be now a 6 +2. I forgoed the second shot with this guy. Forgo. This guy's gone. Rolled a 12. Sorry for the jet aircraft sound. Here, I'll pause for a second. In this case, a 12 just means it was a really bad attack that also happened to cower. So they missed. So, okay, so my Russians, by being careful, they've managed to survive for the moment. Okay, any other movement going on for Russians? No, I don't think so. That's the end of the movement phase. Defensive fire phase, there's a few opportunities for the Finns. For example, they could try to hit this guy here, but I don't want him to get desperate again. I want to run up and capture that guy. So I think they're just going to sit tight on the defensive fire, and that means we'll remove the purple markers. Yeah, so let's go into the advancing fire phase. I don't really see anything worth doing advancing fire with. Maybe this guy, but actually I just realized I forgot to move one guy. So let's pretend there's I'm just gonna have to say I screwed up. I should have moved this guy. but you know, these guys may have fired on him, whatever, if he moved. So we'll just say, whatever, he's, I don't know, laying down, scared. Okay, so advancing fire phase. Maybe I'll have this guy fire over here. It's going to be at +2. And it's 4 + 2. Long shot. He cowered, rolled an 8. Yeah, so nothing. Okay, that's the end of the advancing fire phase. And I think I will actually remember that at the end of the advancing fire phase, you have to check for fire spreading. We'll start with this one. Now, now that I'm looking at it, I forgot last turn this went into a blaze here, so we should have dispersed smoke. I actually don't have any more gray dispersed smoke markers, so we'll just use the white ones. Okay, so this upper story is potentially going to burst into flame, or into become emblazoned. So we're rolling 8 or greater for the wooden building. Rolled a 6. Yeah, so it's still a flame. But the ground floor could spread this way. Let's get the wind. So it's going to be -1 for the wind because it's going against the wind. It's also -2 because the buildings are not directly attached. So we're at -3 and we have to roll an 8 or more. Rolled a 9. -3, 6, so flame does not spread there. Okay, next building. Okay, let's check for this blaze spreading to this brush over here. So wind does matter. It's going to be +1, if you can see that. Also, since this is not a building, the environmental conditions are dry, which is also another +1. So we're at +2. Let's see, not directly attached. So it's not directly attached. That might be a -2, but I'm not so sure that counts for terrain features. It might just be buildings, so I'll double check that. So it's either a +2 or a net 0. And then for brush, we have to roll 6 or greater. Yeah, my reading is that counts as not directly attached. So it's a net of 0, so we're just looking for 6 or greater. Rolled a 9, so it does start to flame up. Some embers blew over here. Okay, now let's check the existing flames. So this is a stone building. We have to roll 9 or greater for that upper floor to burst into flame or into a blaze. Rolled a 5. Nope. Now for this wooden building, need 8 or greater. Rolled a 7. Nope. Some little sputtering flames over here, but it is starting to spread. Okay, the advancing fire phase is over, so now for the rout phase, the Russians go first since they are the active player. I believe this is the only unit capable of routing. So we need to pick a target building or woods hex, the closest one within movement points that does not violate the route rules, for which include, you can't be adjacent to an enemy, you can't move towards a known enemy unit. Now, known enemy units, of course, are these adjacent guys, but also these guys here, including him. So that would make this woods, even though it's the closest, not a valid target, because moving into those woods would bring him from 3 hexes away from this unit to 2 hexes away. So that's no good. So I think the next best one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 4, 5. So either of these buildings. I think I'm going to pick the stone building. I think I'll pick the wood building. Just trying to get closer to this way. So he's going to go 1, 2. Now he moved into open terrain, but because of the wall here, it's technically not open from the point of view of all these guys. So he can't be interdicted. If that wall wasn't there, he would surrender because he has to either be interdicted or low crawl away. Or I should say he has to low crawl away or be interdicted. And in that situation, when you're doing that from adjacent to an enemy, you would surrender. So anyway, we'll go ahead and move him. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you have 6 movement points when you're routing. Okay. I don't see any other route situations for the Russians. For that matter, I don't see any route situations for the Finns. Yep. That's it. Okay, now the advance phase. So these Russians back here, let's advance these guys into this stone building here. Advance these guys here. Advance these guys here. These guys, I guess they'll advance one more. This guy's going to advance over the wall. Slight chance he's going to be able to escape. I think that's everybody. All right, end of the advance phase. Okay, close combat phase. There's no close combat, but there is a melee. And once you're in melee, you know, the ambush thing doesn't happen anymore because you're already engaged. So, but both sides can opt to try to withdraw from melee. Finns, of course, don't want to. They want to kill this guy. The Russians, I don't see any benefit in them trying to withdraw. I mean, they'll just withdraw to another untenable location. So they're going to get it out. And so let's go ahead and do this. So each side attacks simultaneously. The Finns will be attacking at a 3-2. And the, let's see, yep, there's a 3-2 column on the close combat chart. And then the Russians will be at a 2-3. Is that right? Yeah. 2-3. Which I guess the best odds there are for that is a 1-2 on the chart because there's no 2-3. Okay, so let's go ahead and roll for the Finns first. On the 3-2, they need to roll a 6 or less. And I'm kind of looking at the modifiers here real quick. I don't really see any that affect this. Yeah. So, all right. They rolled a 5. That's lower than 6, which is a kill. So the Russians are destroyed. But the Russians, this is simultaneous, so they're rolling on the 1-2. They need a 4 or less. Need a really lucky roll here, Russians. Got a 6. So Finns wipe these guys out. Okay, that's the end of the close combat phase. It's the only one out there. So now we'll process the end of turn. Okay, so processing possible concealment. Well, this Russian unit here is in line of sight of this Finn. It goes through 2 levels of smoke. That's a +4 hindrance, but line of sight is blocked by +6 level of hindrance. So one more thing of smoke here would block the sight, but it's not blocked, so he can't gain concealment. These guys are already concealed. These guys over here definitely out of line of sight of anyone, so they gain concealment. These guys are in line of sight. That appears to be everybody. So that's the end of turn 2. Catch you on the next one. Thanks.